Going to introduce our project. It is called the retrieval bench, which is a benchmark work that measures the retrieval knobs user actually turn. And my section covers how chunking and embedding choice change retrieval quality across domains, plus one deployment budget result. So before I show the result, let me explain our motivation for our research. So why chunking is so important? Actually, every rack system lives or dies by retrieval. The module can't answer from what retrieval didn't bring back. So naturally, there's a huge amount of attention on retrieval quality, but almost all of it goes to one knob, which is embedding module to use. And there are leaderboard for that. Uh, and then here is the problem. Like those leaderboard, like BIR or MTB, evaluates on corpora that comes pre-segmented and they score quality only. But before any embedding happens in a real system, someone chopped the documents into chunks, usually with a library default, and that choice is invisible to every benchmark. And because it was never measured, practice runs on folklore. And for example, the DPR used 100 word passage in 2020, and that hardened into a convention across the field. Not because anyone showed it was right, but because nobody checked. So our question is simple. If we promote chunking to our first class experimental variable, sync footing as the embedder, how much does it actually move retrieval quality? And is the answer the same everywhere, or does it depend on your domain? And I will show the answer next 10 minutes. And a spoiler here is in 5 of our 12 domains, the chunker you pick matters more than the embedder. So yeah, to answer our question, we need breadth. So the matrix spans 12 domains from public collection, and the way to read this slide is from left to right. So from the law documents to short ones. At one end, the full-length text, biomedical papers from tri-COVID, financial polls, Australian court decisions, argumentative essays, and in the middle, the Wikipedia, drive task and natural question, entity retrieval, fact checking, multi-hop QA, and at the other end, the corpora that are already short, the medical and the scientific, abstract, and the quora, where each document is a single question. The quora is our built-in control. Documents so short that chunking shouldn't matter, which let us check that our pipeline doesn't manufacture effects. I will come back to that. And for cross-domain comparability, every corpus uses the same sub-sampling policy, 2,000 filter documents plus every relevant one. And here is what field grade. There are like four retrievers, the BM25 as the sparse baseline, plus three dense embedders, the OpenAI, the small API module, and two open source 33 million parameter modules, and four chunking strategies, the fixed 512 token windows, which is the industry default sentence windows, recursive splitting, and semantic merging. One setting per family. We compare strategies, not to hyperparameters. One design detail that worthy to be mentioned here is the retrieval runs over chunks, but the scoring is at the document level. So each document appears once, scored by its best chunk. So a chunker cannot win just by producing more pieces. When chunkers differ, segmentation generally change what the retriever could find. And yeah, running everything against everything give us a total 192 scored conditions, but the real instrument is what we compute per domain. So take one domain grade, the chunkers as rows, and the three dense embedders as columns, and NDCG score in each cell. There's two way Anote ask one question of the variance across those 12 cells, like how much come from moving along the rows, changing the chunker versus the columns, changing the embedder. So those two shares are CSI and ESI. They sum to one together with an interaction term. And the reading here is simple. If CSI beats ESI in one domain, then the chunker you pick moves quality more than an embedder you pick. Uh, the the BM25 is scored in the full grid, but stay out of this decomposition. It is the lexical baseline, not part of the chunker versus embedder questions. So for findings, the finding one is how much does the chunking move quality. The answer is up to 47%. So the biggest win is biomedical was BM25. Around 0.476 was the semantic chunker, and 0.7 was fixed 512 token windows. Nothing else changed. The same corpus, same retriever, same queries, only how we cut the documents. And it's not like a BM25 Kirk. On finance with the OpenAI embedder, the same switch moves quality 26%, and the pattern replicates under the both open source embedder at around 40%. So this is a property of the corpus, not of one system. So the takeaway here is treating chunking as fixed preprocessing can bias a system comparison by nearly half of measured quality. So it is a first class variable. So, as we know, the chunking matters. Should everyone just switch to a fixed 512? The answer is no. That's our finding too. Like, there's no universal winner. So, the best strategy changed with the domain, and it also changed with the retriever. Windows chunking, for instance, help dense model more than BM25 on long documents. And in three domains, the two choices generally interact, where the interaction terms explain up to nearly 40% of the variance. And there, you cannot even pick a chunker without knowing which embedder is paired with. In the other eight domains, the effects are additive, which is itself useful to the two knobs independently. So, and here is our core result, the decomposition for all 12 domains. In 502, the chunker move quality more than the embedder. And I look at which five, the biomedical, finance, argumentation, and legal. So the long-term structured corpora. In biomedical, chunking explain 82% of the variance, and the embedder only 14%. At the other extreme medical abstract, embedder have like 94% and trunking only have 2. So for short passages, embedder really is the decision that matters. The standard leaderboard driven approach works fine there, and this is stable. We run the home matrix under 2 more query seeds, and ordering held in 11 of 12 domains. The only flip is the domain we already flagged as the borderline. So for our fanning 4 is our sanity check. The core documents are single question. There's nothing to chunk, and indeed, all 4 chunkers land within 2000s of a point of each other. And on every retriever, if our pipeline manufacture effects, they will show up there. And the answer is they don't. So like better still, sensitivity skills was document length essentially 0 on single question, around 10% on case law tags, up to 37 on long biomedical documents. And that's a like those response pattern exactly what you expect if the effect is real. So our last finding, and it's a framing one. We are not claiming finance is a chunking domain as a permanent fact. Like CSI and ESI describe this configuration. Swap in different embedders and the numbers will move. Or on-pull probably just inflates embedder sensitivity since it makes small open source modules with a strong API module. But that's exactly the point. This isn't a lookup table, it's a di- diagnostic you run on your own stack, and it tells you which knob to tune first. So there's one deployment variable, briefly the latency. So quality only evaluation says add a re-ranker. On finance, it lifts BM25 from 0.16 to nearly 0.2, but re-rankers cost time. Under a 200 millisecond budget or latency discounted metric drops that pipeline to 0.133 below the plain BM25. So the ranking of the system isn't a property of the system alone. It is a property of system plus your budget. So relax the budget to 500 millisecond and the re-ranker wins again. So same things as chunking. The deployment variable changed the conclusion. And for limitation, we have like five on the slide, but I want to say like two are pretty important. First is the embedder pool mixes capacity tires. Two small open source modules against a strong API module, which likely inflates embedder sensitivity. And the second is each chunker runs at one hyperparameter setting, so our claims are about strategy families, not tuned optimal. So to conclude, chunking moves retrieval quality by up to 47%. Is the first class variable, and evaluation that frees it are measuring the wrong thing. Whether it matters more than your embedder is decided per domain. It wins in five of or 12, concentrated in long-term structured tasks, and that pattern is stable and receding. So the practical rule is if your corpus is long-term or structured, tune chunking before you shop for embedder. And if it is short passages, then the leaderboard already have you covered. So like in one line, test your checker like test your embedder. That's it. Thank you.